All right, I think we're gonna get started a couple minutes earlier. So, got 2 main slides and actually trying to fit in live demo if everything works as well. Well, hopefully everybody had a good lunch. And I would not think of anything else to do on Sunday afternoon besides being here. So thank you very much. My name is Alex Holden. I work for a company called Security. We do lots of fun, different things, but what we are probably most known, we are tracking the biggest breaches in the world. If you heard of Adobe breach, Target breach, or JP Morgan Chase breach, these are all findings of my company. And we know a lot about hackers. At the same time, we have normal daily stuff. We do auditing, we do a whole bunch of other things. The coolest thing that we found this year in vulnerability testing for one of our clients is a way to exfiltrate the data via vulnerability in their software that delivers faxes. So we were able to do remote file inclusion on the way that the fax is being delivered. And we can ask for the server to fax us any file from a server. It's really fun. It works. It gave us lots of configuration files. My fax bill was very, very high. But I thought that was very, very cool. It's taking the old technology and using the newest methods you can steal data. However, the hackers, they don't go for that. They go for the easiest way to steal the information. I started my career about 20 years ago on help desk. And with help desk, I had a lot of fun stories in the mid-90s where computers were not as prevalent. I had one person call in and read me an error message. I was on autopilot. I said, go ahead and close the window and we'll get started. The person actually got up, closed the window. He was very confused why I asked him to do it, but definitely not very familiar with technology. We had another person who called in. He did not have a computer at all. He just wanted to have an experience. He wanted to learn. And, computer or absence of one didn't stop him from spending an hour on the phone with help desk. Well, just last week we have been tracking a hacker who does not have a computer. He doesn't even have a phone. He wanders from friend's house to friend's house and logs in just on a really tablet that he uses only for chats, and he trades on data. And he's buying information in one place and reselling it immediately before even the transaction completes. The way he talks and the way he thinks is definitely malicious. He's trading tons of information. He is selling at a huge database of stolen credit cards for only $2,000. And he's reselling it for about $20,000 without ever having a computer. Hackers are evolving, they're different, and they're completely not what we think about. This is kind of my idea who the hacker can be, who, how they think, and, they're masterminds. But in many cases, they're not brains, they're not even pinkies in their set of mind. Let's take a look and see who they are and who can they be. They can be very scary. They can be working for an enemy state. They can be corporate sponsored, having infinite resources, and really seeing what they do as a job, the way to get paid to feed their families, and not having any afterthoughts about victims. We got hacktivists, the people who hacked Ashley Madison. They didn't ask for money, they asked for recognition. ISIS, Syrian Electronic Army, and others, they make political statements or they're driven by social agendas. But for the most part, the hackers are profit seekers. It's a very easy way to get rich, not doing much, but using other people's gains. They're not particularly stupid in doing that, but they're only hell-bent on making money. There is a good amount of people who do malicious things on computers for revenge. And then we also have that weakest link, the employees, your friends, your family. The hackers call them meatware. But these people, knowingly or not, may cause a lot of damage. So besides showing you pictures of masterminds, when I think about hackers nowadays, I sometimes think about a young man like this, sitting apparently without pants, in a lobby of a hotel room, hacking an ATM machine. From the main perspective, hackers different from us. They look at things that you don't usually look at. When they go to a website, they don't read the privacy statement of terms of service. They don't understand if you have a PCI compliance statement on your website, or if your site had been tested by Symantec and certified to be secure. For the most part, they don't even speak English. So they won't understand this, even if they care to read it. They're semi-educated, they're smart enough to do certain things, but they're not smart enough to create a huge web of crimes for the most part, because what happens right now is that you don't have a single person who is really good at doing 20, 30 different things. Compartmentalization, ability to get into various systems and being able to do something really, really good comes up with specialization of hackers, and each one of them wants to do something really good in a small domain. Some of them can steal credit cards. Yeah. It says, does it speak English? It says in Russian. Okay. That's exactly the point. But exactly. Не говорит по-английски. The hackers are semi-educated. They're smart enough to do the crimes, but they're not smart enough to come up with a big idea. They're lazy. They don't try to do something new if they can use an old method to steal information. They're also all about money. They're driven for the most part by something, and money usually one of their major drivers. Addictions, drugs, alcohol, gambling, you name it. The modern hackers also fail quite a bit. About a year ago, we monitored a hacker who broke into a retail chain POS server. He was able to dump 1.5 gigabytes of financial data. Some of them were unencrypted credit card numbers for some reason. He was asking in the forum where he was communicating, he was asking questions, very simple questions. What is a SQL server? How do I get the data out of it? What do I do with a credit card? At the very end of his journey, he was able to create a dump file, 1.5 gigabytes in size, of that SQL server, millions of financial records. Last statement on that forum that he made is, he said, you know what? My flash drive only has half a gigabyte free space. I'm not going to download it. He closed his connection, he left. So looking at the crime like that, it's really comical. What's not funny is the plight of that company. If a system administrator finds a data dump of entire database, they see definitely the tracks left by an amateur. They have to declare a disaster. And often, because they don't have a way to prove that the data was never transferred from a server, they definitely don't know the size of the guy's flash drive. But when they get to that investigation, they have to declare a total loss. They have to notify the victims, they have to go through remediation, and that's all for naught, because we know for sure this guy stopped dead in his tracks. So what hackers do and where they fail, sometimes it causes immeasurable amount of pain for the companies. The hackers also running away from the law. even though they may be outside of jurisdiction of the countries that they violate, where they steal data, they still on the run from the local law because sometimes they infringe on the laws of local countries. And they're extremely scared. They run from competition. Successful hackers are known in the community, and they try to keep their identities hidden because there have been a number of incidents where the virtual crime and competitors led to physical violence between the hackers themselves. And then also they're afraid of street gangs. In some countries, like in Eastern Europe, it's really a good thing to steal from a thief because they consider it to be not a crime. Street gangs know that hackers can steal much more money virtually than they can do physically. And they just find these people, they blackmail them, they beat them up quite severely to get them to work, usually making them give the street gangs 100% of their ill gains. So these hackers, for the most part, are scared, and they're scared for good reason. Here's an example of this young man who's solely responsible for writing malware that caused so much pain with Target. This young man got into hacking for one reason. He got in to meet women. So lots of people do get into hacking for various things. He is more or less unique. What he figured out, being an awkward teenager with a funky hairdo, he found out that approaching girls in public is difficult. And the girls online didn't like him either. So he decided to use his IT skills to help the girls break into accounts of their significant others. He used his significant skills to break into Russian equivalent of Facebook, into email systems, providing the ladies with dirt on their significant others. He got lots of attention from the opposite sex. But unfortunately, as soon as the girls got what they wanted, they turned a cold shoulder. By the time he figured out that that was a losing proposition for him, he was already well connected to the hacker community. He was recruited almost full-time to work on this Target project, writing malware. He was more interested in writing exceptions and making sure that his software works across all the terminals, that it does not crash, that it exits gracefully even if there is a problem, than actually about stealing the money. He tried to find a job, a normal job, based on his posting on freelancer.ru. His salary requirement was only $12 an hour. He didn't find a job, but he caused quite a bit of grief. We're dealing with not only enemies who try to get rich, they also see us as cultural enemies. And they see it completely opposite. This person is on the FBI's most wanted cyber criminal list. In a private conversation back in 2010, he actually admits that he sees Americans and Western Europeans as cultural enemies. He absolutely hates us because he thinks that we all drive Rolls Royces and live in $1 million houses. But at the same time, he would not go against Polish bank because he considers his brothers, the Slavs, to be righteous in that fight. So this ideological war led him to being a part of a gang that stole over $220 million from the West. But I'm here really to give you this kind of rundown of hackers' fall fashions for 2015. What's cool, what's not? Why is it interesting, why is it difficult? I did put this presentation together in the last couple of days just for the most important reason to show you things that are relevant. You will see the dates on some of those these screenshots that you'll see next. As a couple hours ago, a couple days ago, this is all real. This is all very scary. Some of the data was altered to protect the innocent. So as you take pictures, if you do, be very cognizant that some information may belong to the victims. But I'm going to talk about a couple different directions of the hackers, what they do, what pays, and how they get around it. Carding is not as a big deal. Right now, after the Target breach, after Home Depot breach, we have a number of different individuals who stole a lot of credit cards, and banks got smarter. The credit cards are much better protected. The bank accounts are much better protected. There is a big scrutiny. If 10 years ago you can steal 10 credit cards, you can max out most of them within minutes to the limit, and you can possibly get cash out of it. Nowadays, you cannot get much. These credit cards, I believe this number is about 600,000 credit cards that are being offered for sale, only go between $1 and $5, not that much, because the market is oversaturated with stolen credit cards. And these stolen credit cards being flagged by banks almost immediately. Hackers know that if they try to steal 1,000 credit cards, and let's say each credit card has a limit of $1,000, it's not that they stole $1 million. If they're lucky, they will be able to cash them out at the tune of $1,000 or $2,000. And paying $1 per card is not really a good business proposition for them. We are winning on that war. We are winning in this mass abuse of credit cards because credit cards stepped up to the plate. But individual scams, people buying 1 or 2 credit cards, they still can go on the radar because they can understand whose credit card they stole, they can mimic the behavior, and they can most likely steal all the money from that credit card. Not directly, they can't get cash out, but can they buy goods and services around it. Some of the banks still allow changes of the address. So the hackers go in and try to compromise those accounts. They try to steal enough information to change address, change the phone number, and then when there is confirmation coming from a credit card or bank, it actually goes to the source. Carding is not out completely. It still causes a lot of headache, but mass exploitation of credit cards is rapidly on decline. Something else that's been on and off for a while is identity theft. Identity theft has always been a big deal because individuals feel completely violated when their information is stolen. At the same time, the hackers actually ask for information. They try to steal information as much as possible about the people. So from my perspective, evolution of identity theft is being automated to a degree that you wouldn't believe. They're finally developing APIs for identity theft. They have services that allows hackers, other hackers, to do normal queries into the database, along with the payment information, along with specific information, and they can get information like social security numbers, date of birth, sometimes credit reports via a standard query via API. It can be automated. The identity theft is getting much easier. There is another concept in credit card theft. You can do it virtually, you can do it physically. You can steal credit card information installing schemers on the bank machines, ATMs, payment terminals. And the hackers go around and they try to get the actual scheming devices installed. Where do they go? Well, they go to a shop. They go online and fill up their shopping cart with scheming devices, and shipping is free. They deliver via FedEx, UPS, USPS, and DHL right to your house. They don't accept credit cards as payment. It would be, but at the same time, they actually accept Western Union, Bitcoins, Web Money, Perfect Money, and a whole bunch of other things. It's really scheming made easy. In my practice, personally, when I go to any terminals, when I insert my card, I kind of try to wiggle that terminal, see if it comes off. I'm always kind of self-conscious about that. But then, about a month ago, I saw this video. This is actually a scheming machine, and it really scared me. So let me see if I should play the video. So there is an insert that hackers put inside of those terminals that actually sits inside of the ATM terminal or a payment terminal. And as you can see, it's actually allowing us to insert a card, and it schemes on the inside of the ATM. It steals all the information. It shows how easy the card will go in, going out without any type of interaction. It would steal the credit card information, and at the end, you would see that hackers can really seamlessly move around and insert these type of devices and remove them toward the end. So when I saw this video, I realized that I'm fucked. It's there is no easy way to protect yourself against the skimmers because they're so good and they're so advanced. This is how easy it is to take it out, and it's so small, it's really invisible. So the skimming is on the rise, and it's been made very easy. One of the ways to deal with stolen credit cards is really to buy something, get it shipped to you, and enjoy the goods. So, really stuff that you want to buy the credit cards from. These type of operations, you can go on Amazon and use American credit card, get the delivery to middle of nowhere, Moldova. Just you can't. But the hackers getting smarter. They employ people in the United States to receive the goods from Amazon, from other stores, and they actually allow this delivery to these people. These people get labels printed from USPS, by FedEx, by UPS, and they reattach a label on the box, and then they send them abroad. Hackers have fun with this. This is a screenshot of a forum. It's a gladiators arena. They actually consider themselves royalty. They consider themselves people who being entertained by these gladiators, people who ship stuff, and they compete with each other. Who can ship more using these gladiators? Which gladiator will survive longer and keep these operations going? From one perspective, it's said that they're actually using human beings and they preying on their interests. At the same time, they actually turn this into a game. And if Gladiator is not fun enough, they also have shops like this. This is a Russian shop. I'm not going to translate everything, but they actually consider their drops, the reshippers, they put icon of Homer Simpson on their profile. So, from Gladiators to Homer Simpson, they have fun. They actually steal information, and they use people's gullibility. And if anything, these individuals who ship the information, the goods, are the ones maybe found liable for being complicit in the crime. The crime is also going in mass production. We are living in an age of mass exploitation. Hackers break into the web development applications like WordPress and Joomla in bulk. We recently seen a list of 6.5 million WordPress sites that being targeted and successfully exploited, at least to retrieve usernames through some kind of vulnerability, but also likely to steal passwords. This size of mass exploitation is easy. So these sites being converted into pansies. On the right, you can see a list of shells, the backend connections that these guys selling or even distributing for free on sites like Pastebin. The hackers are auditing the internet. They are trying to steal weak passwords across every single IP out there. They put in automated RDP or SSH testers, and they find thousands of vulnerable machines. Sometimes they find passwords that I didn't think were possible, but their brute forcing systems are very good. Hackers actually enjoy reward programs. They found out a while ago that hackers can move frequent flyer miles or car rental points, and they can sell it to legitimate users. So if I want to take a flight to, let's say, Australia, and the ticket costs $1,000 each way, it may be very expensive. Hackers can steal somebody else's points, and they don't take much. They may take 1,000 points from each account, so people won't even notice anything missing. But then they can buy this ticket using points and sell it to me for $500 for entire ticket. Yes, they're taking a huge loss, but it's not their money that they're gambling with. Then, if the reward program actually notices that something was done fraudulently, they're going to take away the ticket of a person who wants to buy, who bought that ticket. So they may show up at the airport, but they won't have a flight or seat on the plane. At the same time, the hacker already has information of that poor sub who gave them their credit card number that was legitimately billed for $500, but now they can use that credit card or sell it on the black market. The reward program is getting in ridiculous space. Apparently, Subway restaurants in UK has a program. As you spend more dollars at Subway, you can get with I think 3,000 or so points a free sub, 6-inch sub for free. Hackers sell those coupons on the internet. Yes, hackers like my mom do clip coupons, but at the same time they sell free sub coupons for 10 to 50 cents a piece on the black market. And somebody's buying them because they're saying that they sold over 10,000 coupons like that. The size of crime or criminal activity is varied, and it always surprises me. Hackers break into PayPal or eBay accounts, they establish something fraudulently, and they have manuals to go through this. They're very simple to use manuals translating the application word for word to PayPal and eBay, because apparently these sites now detect switching languages, so they would lock out your account faster if you use something other than English. So they're getting smarter. They go around systems. And then also this brute forcing. Hackers buy thousands or millions of user ID and passwords, and they try against various sites where they think they can profit. They do more and more with same type of resources because technology is very easy. I want to spend like 30 seconds talking about the ugly crimes of drug trafficking. You have a website actually operated in Russia, and it's offering, based on your locale, ability to buy drugs that have been stored by the dealers inside of just normal everyday locations. So what you do is go on this website, you pick your physical location, your neighborhood, and then you pay the fee, which is rather reasonable, and all you get is a picture like the one on the right. It basically gives you a geographical address, a picture where the drugs are hidden, and they offer money back if for some reason it's not there. The ratings there pretty much along the lines of Angie's List. The drug dealers being really rated based on how good they are, how honest they are, and how much information, how often the people find their loads, and how good the drugs are. So this is very simple, and it's this is an example in Russia where they try to sell sex and drugs at the same time, but these sites exist all over the world, and the dealers never exposing themselves to the buyers, just putting these things on the deep web and selling it in a store There are even instructions on how to buy and where to pay for these things. In Russia, they have Kiwi, which is their local electronic payment system, so you can actually go pay your bills and buy your drugs in the same place. I want to spend some time talking about botnets. Botnets are things that really steal more information today than anywhere else. Viruses that have been built by hackers still find a home, and many people get infected with on their computers. These botnets or viruses are responsible for the biggest breaches of our time, including Target. But hackers are getting smarter. They're building better viruses. They're building better botnets. This is a screenshot, probably very difficult to see, but this is basically a service to encrypt your virus so it's not being recognized by antivirus program, and place it in different locations so the victim machines can download it faster from their geographical locale. You pay based on the type of encryption and a number of downloads. So this is basically a encrypting service. What hackers are doing right now with viruses is that they don't really care about the antivirus programs, because antivirus programs, if they're only matching on the signature, the hackers are faster than antiviruses. They take their malicious software and they check against 20, 30, 40 different antivirus software. Every single minute, they check if the signature is detectable. If it is detectable, because it will be eventually, they don't have to upload anything else, because they have another version of the virus with a different signature already sitting on the victim's computer. And all they have to do is to send a signal switch. And when that happens, it's very easy. There are also sleepers. You have backup, and you have backup to backup that knows that if it's does not get communications from its main operators, it will switch itself on every 24 hours and just double check if the virus had been removed. So they don't really, the hackers no longer disable antiviruses in some cases. One hacker said that they're so much faster than antivirus. Why turn off a good piece of software that will prevent, that allows them to filter for the competition? So the information they steal is unique on people's computers. Mobile botnets. This is a screenshot of infection rates from, well, everything up to date. Today, several loads that being hidden as APKs for Android platform being distributed through some kind of malware campaign, in amount of infections is just staggering. They have basically easy grasp for the hackers themselves to monitor their progress, their gains. They steal anything else that you can imagine from a phone, not only your payment information, but sometimes your text messages, sometimes it's application data, sometimes it's your friends list. They control horizontal and vertical. They can turn on your front camera, back camera, make volume louder so they can hear your conversation, and it's all automated. You can do it on a much bigger scale. So let me try to do something. I've done this a couple times before with various degrees of success. I'm going to show you a live botnet. So I'm going to try to switch over here, obviously. Here we go. So we are looking at live botnet here. Its location and other information is being hidden to avoid any kind of recognition. It's a botnet that was able to steal 21 million records from about 3,000 computers. It gives very friendly, very nice statistics for the end users. It shows you how many new computers been infected, their locale, most of this coming from Russia and Ukraine. It gives you very easy statistics, allowing you to break it down even by different botnet that's being operated. You can look at infection rates by operating system. Looking at Windows 7 and XP still bigger victims, but Windows 8, I don't see Windows 10 here, but I also see a couple servers being affected as well. You can look at what kind of bots are out there, what computers being affected. You can search, you can do a fair amount of research. So for example, if I'm gonna look for servers, I'm gonna see a number of computers that have a server in their name. I can look for POS, register, or something like that. And now I have something to research. I can use scripts. That's where I was talking about updates and special combinations of applications and what you would be uploading, what you're going to be exporting for, if you will be stealing information directly from a computer, or if you would be using it for some kind of attacks. You can set up URL triggers. So, and that will be delivered to you instantly via Jabber, via Socks, or it can even pop up in your remote session. So you set up basically wildcards, this one mostly around Australia, Italy, Canada, and Walmart. But as information is being stolen, it's being delivered real time to the hackers, no matter where these guys are. And then there is an easier, quick way to search information. You can search based on already created reports, cookies, HTTP, HTTPS, if you can find FTP logins, POP3, SMTP credentials, VNC connections ready to use, and so on and so forth. It's very simple, it's user-friendly, it's been in development for a number of years, and it makes it easy. To show you that the data is real, I'm gonna do a quick search here for a little bit of time. This account is actually disabled, the one that will come up, but I can put a search term, for example, like Facebook. And when I do a search, it comes up almost immediately with information that had been stolen. It shows you the date, it shows you information about the exploited machine, it shows what's being accessed. You can look at the user input, you can look at what's being sent via the browser. At the end, you can get all kinds of information, including user IDs and passwords of people who actually submit this information. It's user-friendly. It's completely removed from the users, but at the same time, when you look at this data, you can see everything that's been stolen from that machine. You can do more and more research. You can see where this machine had been. On our side, on the good guy side, where we get this information, we can actually tell the company exactly, or individuals, what had been stolen from them, bit by bit. And we can do one better. We can tell them that not only it was stolen, but we can also tell them that if a hacker ever actually looked at this type of data. Yes?
I can understand how you can tell it was stolen, but how can you verify that the hacker didn't look at the data, or if you prove that they looked at it, you know, they didn't look at it all?
There is a report you can generate. Was this information ever been seen in the report? Was it triggered, or was it ever downloaded? So every single bit of this information is sitting in a database. And the database actually has a flag seen or not seen, retrieved or not retrieved. It's done so the hackers can actually share the data so they don't attack the same account over and over. But at the same time, it actually gives us an idea that if somebody actually consciously seen this data, or was it just stolen? So it's a very interesting way to quantify it as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So that was more or less good demo. I want to talk about defenses. I want to talk about what, with all these scary things that hackers are doing, what can we do as security professionals to prevent these activities? And we have technology on our side. We have lots of technology that do different things, and if used correctly, it's going to make these bad guys' job extremely difficult. We have like never before created so many tools that almost certainly would stop cybercrime. We just don't roll them out in the right places at the right time. We don't always look at the information that they collect. And in some cases, we are so afraid to break our business processes that we don't apply them at all. Then the next line of defense, we have people. We have everybody now watching the news, understanding what's going on, and trying to see what they can do to not to be in the news if cybercrime happens. At the same time, the awareness of cybersecurity is high, but the hackers are still succeeding. I think the last line of defense is our compliance programs. We got laws, we got regulations, we have rules, and we are improving our ability to set rules for good computing practices like never before. From the top 10 list of things that we should be looking out for, because number of different cybercrimes that I didn't mention because they're still prevalent but not as popular as the others. If we try to minimize viruses, reuse or theft of credentials, if we patch our systems and create some kind of safe zones for service providers who have our data to our customers who give us their data, we would be significantly better off. And this is quite a bit of undertaking. A lot of companies that I talk to say that yes, we have antivirus program that catches 99% of the viruses. And these customers have tens of thousands of computers. If you factor what 99% means, it means that they may have hundreds of computers who still don't have up-to-date antiviruses. They may still have these viruses that can operate with antivirus routing without ever detecting it. So we see a lot of things that, when we focus on things, we focus on different pain of a day. But believe me when I tell you that these four things lead to more breaches than anything else. I want you to start looking at the quantitative analysis. I understand that most people deal with log aggregators and large amounts of quantitative data analysis. But from my perspective, if you look at Adobe systems, Sony Pictures, Ashley Madison breach, these companies supposedly lost all their data. Every single bit of data that hackers found to be important, they were able to access without any problems. Not only that, they were able to exfiltrate it from the company. So, if you equate it to kind of a security of a building, you can imagine that somebody can break into your garage without much problem, without ever being detected. At the same time, when you look at the amount of information that was stolen from these companies, it sounds like, while everybody was in the house, the bad guys managed to steal a grand piano and take it out from the front door without anybody ever noticing. And that's very alarming. Figure out statistics. What's normal for you? What's not? Investigate it, because in many cases, when you're dealing with very sophisticated enemies, like in case of Anthem breach, the information that was exfiltrated may be completely seamlessly because the hackers were very sophisticated. But at the same time, they couldn't fool network statistics. There would be still spikes with large amounts of information. showing up in some logs. So become a friend of statistics, understand it, embrace it, because even if you can stop the crime, you can identify it fast enough and fix it. The other good hint is start embracing the honeypots. And honeypots may be not the systems that just attract hackers. Build honeypots within your components of website. If your website has a SQL database behind it and you audit it and make sure that there is no SQL injection, you probably should put a SQL injection vulnerability there. Not a very simple one, but rather complicated, and you watch if somebody finds it. Make sure that it doesn't exfiltrate the data from your system, but make sure that it will trigger something, but that somebody is looking at your website, trying to steal information. And when they find something, you can learn about their techniques, and you can proactively defend your database against those IP addresses, against those techniques. If you don't have anything, and just think that your database is completely secure, you may be in for a big surprise. Credential honeypots. You guys may have large databases that have hundreds of thousands or millions of credentials. Put in a couple credentials that only you guys know about. Make sure they're valid and they lead nowhere. That way, if somebody steals that data and ever uses those credentials, you know your data has been stolen. Put these type of credentials, different credentials, obviously, the ones in the batches that you give to your vendors. So when you see a specific account set up for honeypot being exploited with your vendor, that you give to your vendor, you definitely know what's going on. Some of our clients create one email account a day on their system, so they know exactly when the data was stolen, because in some cases you won't see it. Even basic features like cross-site scripting, you can control and artificially insert on your systems, and you can see if somebody's trying to exploit them. We've seen one company building cross-site scripting honeypot, where it worked very well for anybody who's trying to build a cross-site scripting attempt, but it doesn't work for anybody else from a different IP address. Hackers were flabbergasted when they sent out their exploitation phishing email, and it only worked on their test machines. It didn't fool any users because it couldn't work, it worked for the hackers. Very simple hints, very simple to implement, but at the same time, it actually helps quite a bit. Also, look at your culture. This chart here showing maturity level of your security program was not designed in the last 10 years. In fact, it was designed back in 1977, I believe, in Carnegie Mellon. This concept still stands, where you go from basic level of security to control, standardize, optimize, and now you can start innovations. It's very interesting that when you ask a lot of stakeholders where you are in the security process, they're going to point you toward the right. Some of the technical people will point you toward the left. Figuring out where you are would help you actually create a vision of where you want to be. Speaking of vision, you have to actually try to see who the bad guys are. We spent a good portion of this presentation looking at their gains. Their systems are sophisticated. They spend a lot of time and resources building those systems. They have IT departments, they have marketing people, they have anything, even graphic artists they have to help them to sell their services to a full number of people. So understand the landscape, understand what's pertinent right now, who is attacking you and why. Why would definitely help you to defend your infrastructure much better. Go for simplicity. Hackers do. Hackers, for the most part, would go for something simple. And if you can detect that simple, you can defend yourself against the most sophisticated exploits that will follow. I like to use the word frenemies in my presentation, not because Lindsay Lohan coined that term, but also because frenemies are very important. We have everybody in our environment who tries to attach pieces of data all over. It's our IT departments, it's our marketing, it's our research, it's vendors, partners, customers, and our perimeter is so big. Don't 100% trust all of these. Treat them as frenemies, because a lot of breaches, a lot of hacker activities are being helped sometimes without knowing by your friends, people who have access to your system. Take control over systems that you have. Try to proactively defend, and lastly, look at feasible solutions. Most likely, you have a lot of tools already within your infrastructure help you build some of these defenses to catch some of these things. Some of them not being used to their full potential because of various reasons, but we find that when the company looks at their infrastructure, if they come up with a good, feasible way to combat things, they actually show results. We see a lot of security becoming way to recover the losses. It's in some cases, in large organizations, they have IT spending money, but security is saving money and actually producing ROI. That's all I had to share with you today. Hopefully it was useful. Any questions?
Do you see any mechanisms for these hacker groups to authenticate their users to keep you off of their networks, their sites, to keep the good guys out?
Absolutely. Some of those places that hackers operate, they restrict you by IP address. They require you to have a browser certificate, for example. And even when you have a browser certificate, you can bypass IP restrictions. It asks you not only for your username and password, it also gives you a passphrase that only you would remember. And it will, like, 20 years ago when you buy a video game, it would say, open to page 5, give me the first letter of the second word. So they put a lot of things that make extremely difficult for security researchers to follow them. And that's always an ongoing battle. Hackers are very sophisticated. If we go to a forum and they have patterns of how a person goes through a forum, if we try to download all the data from the forum, that's the last time I use that account, because the hackers actually detect the human behavior versus machine behavior that tries to download the data.
How big is phishing? In your presentation, we saw it going after credit cards, we saw it going after identity theft, but are they want it to be easy, their work to be easy. So is there only a small sect that's doing the phishing, or is it the gangs,
A lot of information being gathered from phishing. Phishing, usually how the viruses get on your system. Besides false web advertising, phishing is #1 way for these viruses to distribute themselves. So that mobile botnet that had up to 18,000 infections in a single day, it's actually all done through phishing. So it's a huge vehicle for hackers still to infect people.
I need to be the last question because we're out of time. In defenses, you didn't mention whitelisting of applications at all. Or if you did, then I was looking at the camera when you did. What would you like to talk about that as the last question?
Whitelisting is a difficult task. It works for POS quite easily. If you have a point of sale system and it only does POS, you can definitely whitelist everything. In very dynamic environment, it's rather difficult. At the same time, you have to have a lot of vehicles to whitelist. You have to whitelist email, websites, you have to whitelist browser plugins, you have to whitelist applications. Hackers find the easiest way, the one that works. And whitelisting works, it's just such a difficult task, especially for a larger company.
Thank you.